Dear Virgo, something feels unfinished today, and you cannot quite name what it is. Maybe it is a conversation that ended without resolution, or a memory that keeps surfacing at strange hours. Virgo, the chart today is unusually private. The biggest planetary event is not happening in your relationships or your career, at least not visibly. It is happening somewhere quieter, in a part of your mind you do not usually let other people see. And here is the contradiction that makes today worth paying attention to. The very energy that feels hidden is also the energy most likely to expand your entire year. Stay with this, because by the end you will understand why what looks like daydreaming might actually be information. The bigger picture. The defining astrological event framing your day is a conjunction between your ruling planet, Mercury, and expansive Jupiter, both meeting in Leo inside your 12th house, the house of solitude, spirituality, and hidden patterns. In Western tropical astrology, this house is often called the house of the unconscious, the place where unresolved material from the past quietly accumulates until it is ready to be understood. When your own communicator, Mercury, links up there with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, the natural result is that whatever has been sitting quietly in your inner world suddenly feels bigger, louder, and more urgent than usual. That could show up as a memory resurfacing without warning. It could be an unfinished conversation replaying in your head. It could even be a spiritual or philosophical question you have been circling for months, finally demanding an answer. The risk, and this matters, is treating every one of these inner signals as a task to solve immediately. Not everything that surfaces from the 12th house needs to be fixed today. Some of it just needs to be witnessed. Layered on top of this is the moon's movement through your chart. Earlier in the day, the moon sits in Virgo itself, your own sign. In Vedic tradition, this is read as the moon transiting your natal moon sign, and it tends to stir up personal sensitivity and a slightly hectic emotional undertone. Work may feel like it is shifting under your feet. Small disruptions may pile up faster than expected. But as the day progresses, the moon moves into Libra, landing in your resourceful second house of values, finances, and self-worth. That shift matters enormously because it means the emotional turbulence of the morning is not where your day ends. It is where it begins. Here is where two traditions describe the same experience from different angles. Western tropical astrology frames the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction in your 12th house as an invitation to process the unconscious mind, a psychological unpacking. Vedic astrology, watching the moon transit your own sign before shifting into the second house, emphasizes something more grounded. The movement from emotional agitation toward practical stability. Put them together, and the message becomes clear. Today is not about avoiding what feels unsettled. It is about letting the unsettled feeling move you towards something more solid by evening. Love. You may have noticed a pull towards someone from your past today, or a story that never quite resolved. With Mercury and Jupiter meeting in your 12th house of hidden patterns, old romantic memories can feel unusually vivid, almost cinematic. There is a real temptation to interpret that intensity as meaning. If a name keeps appearing in your thoughts, it is easy to assume the universe is trying to tell you something is fated. But here is the deeper layer worth sitting with. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, including nostalgia. A feeling being loud does not automatically make it true. The real question is not whether the memory feels powerful, it is whether the connection still exists in present reality, or only inside a story you have kept alive in your imagination. If you are drafting a message to someone from your past, write it. That impulse deserves respect, but let it sit before you send it. Ask yourself honestly whether this is about who that person is now or who they were when the story felt unfinished. For those already in a relationship, this same 12th house energy can surface old wounds or unspoken resentments that were never fully addressed. There may also be a tempting shortcut available today, someone offering an apology or you offering one that smooths things over without actually resolving the underlying issue. Accepting peace at surface level feels good in the moment, but conflicts that get swept aside rather than worked through tend to resurface later, usually at a worse time. If something needs discussing, this is a better day to actually discuss it than to simply forgive and move on. Then the moon arrives in Libra, your house of values, and something shifts. The emotional noise quiets. You start to feel less pulled by old stories and more anchored in what you currently want and deserve. That is the resolution to the tension this section opened with. The nostalgia does not have to be discarded, but it does need to be weighed against your present-day values, not your past-day feelings. Put your phone down when you are with someone who matters. Presence, this evening especially, will say more than any message you could send. Career. The same private introspection shaping your emotional world also touches how you are approaching responsibilities today. With so much mental energy directed inward, there is a real chance you are mentally rehearsing conversations or decisions rather than acting on them yet. That is not procrastination, it is preparation, but only if you eventually move from thinking to doing. You may have noticed unexpected shifts at work lately, small disruptions to routines or plans that do not quite make sense yet. The earlier moon in Virgo influence supports that pattern, bringing a hectic, slightly chaotic undertone to daily logistics. The instinct to react quickly to every disruption is understandable, but patience serves you better here. Take developments one at a time, rather than trying to solve everything simultaneously. As the moon later settles into your resourceful second house, a clearer, more grounded approach becomes available. This is an excellent window to organize your actual task list, going through what actually needs doing item by item, so you avoid duplicating effort or circling back unnecessarily. Structure is not glamorous, but today it is your ally. The chaotic morning energy gives way to something far more workable by afternoon, and that is not a coincidence. It is the chart's natural progression from disruption toward order. Money. That same shift toward the second house carries real weight for your finances. This is a naturally favorable stretch for reviewing payments, organizing bills, or mapping out near-term financial plans. The kind of quiet administrative work that rarely feels exciting but consistently pays off. Your financial picture appears stable right now, which makes this an ideal moment to plan ahead rather than simply react to whatever comes up. There is also a possibility, supported by the day's broader expansive energy, of an unexpected opportunity for income arriving through an unconventional channel. It might not look like a traditional paycheck. It could be a side project, a return favor, or an opportunity that seems to come out of nowhere. Because Jupiter is involved in today's central conjunction, and Jupiter tends to open doors that are not visible from the outside, it is worth staying alert rather than dismissing something that seems unusual at first glance. The deeper thread connecting money to everything else today is self-worth. The second house is not just about currency, it is about what you value and how you measure your own worth. If you have been undervaluing your time, your skills, or your emotional labor lately, today's grounded lunar energy is a good moment to reassess that quietly, without drama, just an honest internal audit. Health. Here is the part of today's chart worth paying closest attention to. The emotional agitation you may feel earlier in the day, driven by the moon's transit through your own sign, is not something to suppress or intellectualize. It is something to let move through you. The instinct many Virgos have is to analyze every uncomfortable feeling until it becomes a problem to solve. But some feelings genuinely just need rest, not analysis. If you find yourself replaying a memory, a conversation, or a worry today, try writing it down instead of turning it over endlessly in your head. Then physically step away from noise, screens, and obligations for even a short window. Clarity tends to arrive after you stop forcing it, not while you are chasing it. This is a day where a walk without your phone will likely do more for your mental clarity than another hour of overthinking. On the physical side, shifting toward healthier eating patterns supports whatever fitness goals you are working on, and the grounded energy arriving with the Libra moon makes consistency easier to maintain than usual. If stress from work has been building, be mindful about carrying that tension home. Irritability transferred from a stressful task environment into your personal space tends to disrupt the calm you are actually craving. A level head, held through the hectic morning hours, becomes the foundation for a genuinely restorative evening. Regarding any deeper spiritual or wellness remedies you might come across today, particularly if you explore Vedic astrological guidance, it is worth noting that some Vedic practitioners may recommend planet-specific remedies, including gemstones or mantras, for individuals whose birth charts specifically support them. This is not universal advice. Gemstone prescription in Vedic tradition requires genuine chart analysis, not a blanket recommendation based on sun sign alone. Safer, universally supportive options include mindful color choices, meditation, or simply spending quiet time in nature, home, and family. The hectic undertone from earlier in the day can easily spill into your household if you are not careful. Job-related stress carried home tends to disrupt the emotional temperature of your family environment, creating friction that has nothing to do with the people you are actually with. If today feels like everything around you is slightly out of sync, that disorganization is more likely coming from external circumstances than from the people you love. As the day settles and the moon moves into its more grounded position, there is a real opportunity for closeness at home, especially if you slow down deliberately. This is a good evening for savoring small moments rather than rushing through them, full attention given to the people in front of you rather than divided between them and a screen. The people closest to you will notice the difference between distracted presence and genuine presence, even if they do not say so directly. Travel and spirit. There is a quieter invitation running underneath today's entire chart, and it connects directly back to where we started. The same 12th house energy that is surfacing old memories and unfinished emotional business is also, in Western psychological astrology, considered fertile ground for spiritual insight. Picture it like standing at the edge of a quiet lake at dusk, the surface calm, but everything that is settled beneath it slowly becoming visible. That is the kind of inner clarity available to you today, if you are willing to sit with stillness rather than rushing past it. This could be a meaningful day to explore a self-help book, begin a new reflective practice, or simply protect some intentional silence in your schedule. If you have been considering launching something personally meaningful, something you believe could ripple outward and benefit more than just yourself, the expansive energy present today tends to support beginnings like that, opening pathways that are not always visible to the people around you. Travel plans, if they arise, carry a similarly joyful undertone right now, and combined with today's broader themes, movement of any kind, whether physical or internal, seems to favor you. Lucky signs. Today's supportive window falls between 3 and 4:30 in the afternoon, a stretch worth protecting for anything requiring focus or connection. Brown carries favorable energy for you today, useful if you are choosing an outfit or an accent color for something important. The overall emotional tone favors patience over urgency and grounded second house energy over impulsive 12th house drifting. Today's guidance. By evening, the story that began with unsettled feelings and half-remembered conversations resolves into something steadier. The lesson threading through today's chart is simple, even if the day itself felt complicated. What surfaces from stillness deserves attention, but not immediate reaction. Write down what needs remembering. Rest what needs resting. Let the version of you that shows up by 3 or 4 this afternoon, calmer, more grounded, more resourceful, be the one who makes the decisions that matter. The private insight stirring in you today is not asking to be solved by tonight. It is asking to be trusted a little longer until the picture becomes clearer on its own.